Right, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Trash Talk. I've not long been back from my delightful journey home from DreamHack Winter. I'm absolutely riddled with LAN death. I better not say LAN AIDS, not in the current climate, Sam, or someone will call all the fucking PC police and that'll be the end of my career. So yeah, I've got LAN death, guys, LAN flu, whatever you want to call it. But it feels like LAN AIDS. It's going to go full-blown at some point. Anyway, it's been a fucking crazy week in eSports, not just for me, but a crazy week for everybody. What's been going on? League of Legends, big changes as Joe and Deman leave LCS. There's big shoes to fill. Is there anyone out there to fill them? We've talked a lot about the lack of League of Legends casting talent, actually a byproduct of, there not being a lot of events to do outside of LCS. Is anyone going to be able to step up? I don't think they can be replaced, but let's see. Scripting accusations in the expansion tournament, mad paranoia, or is there something to it? Santorin officially joins TSM. They took the fucking time with that one. Flame leaves CJ Entus. Pawn joins EDG. The 420 patch, basically Warwick is now living the dream. Everyone else is abjectly miserable, especially junglers. And interesting story just breaking today, which I've gained a lot of pleasure from. The #1 Greek streamer was perm banned on all accounts, Sam.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the video of him apparently hitting his girlfriend, but then I looked into it more and it's supposed to be fake, and he's like the Nick Tron / K-Tron of the communities.
Yeah. I mean, that could be true.
Yeah, I haven't heard much else.
It could be true that it's fake. It could equally be whoopsie daisy. I've hit my girlfriend on air. Maybe we should say that was fake. I mean,
probably.
You can make up your mind about that, Sam. Again, I'm not going to have an opinion about anything for the next 48 hours. Counter-Strike, Boostgate, boom, Fnatic, already in the fucking doldrums reputation-wise. I know what we'll do. Let's do a highly questionable boost in a high-profile game. It's like the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. So plenty to talk about Boostgate. I mean, are Fnatic going to disband now? They seem to be on this big weird PR campaign trail where they're trying to portray themselves as victims and saying, "Oh, isn't the community being mean to us?" Which I just don't get at all. Like, I can't help but feel they brought it on a little bit themselves, maybe even more than a little bit, maybe all of it. LDLC with the winners. Real happy. It means that no team have won back-to-back majors, which is great. It's really good for the CSGO scene, and CSGO with huge numbers again at DreamHack Winter, and lots of people paying attention to the game. Even the guys at League of Legends are like, rubbernecking and saying, "Hey, what's this?" In StarCraft, 4GG won the DreamHack tournament, and of course, IEM San Jose is looming. Which that's a surprise to me, Sam. I had no idea. So looking forward to talking about some of this. And of course, as my good colleague Extreme Donkey brought up in the official Trash Talk thread, he said, all of these topics you've suggested are great, but I feel like we are missing what is really important, and that is the changes to porn laws in the UK is obviously the big news of the day. I mean, come on. No fisting? So let's talk about that. If you want to call in and talk about fisting in the UK, as someone who spent all day getting fisted on social media, I'm fucking game. I say I'm glad fisting's banned. I'm feeling a little bit sore. So let's start. Let the drinking commence. Who have we got? Our first caller, Sam, and what the fuck do they want to talk about?
First, you have Warhood, and he wants to talk about Gleeb, and also what's the current deal with Fnatic.
Right, sounds good. I like Warhood. People may know Warhood from my stream, actually. We haven't set this up. It's not a ringer to avoid trolling today. But Warhood, can you hear me, brother?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? I can change my mic too if it's.
Oh no, it's great, dude. It's real good. So you want to talk about Gleeb?
Yeah, I do.
Gleeb, right? Not Glee, the TV series, because I fucking hate
that. So do I. Gleeb.
Okay, cool, good.
Gleeb.
Great.
I can't even pronounce his full name, so.
So what do you want to talk about, dude? Like,
well, I'm sorry, this is starting off a little shaky. I wanted to talk about how basically that this is probably the smartest decision for both sides to do given this time period.
So what you talking about the decision for him to kind of stand down from the team?
Yeah, while he adjusts to his meds. I'll just preface this with a personal story to begin this, so you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, sure.
I used to do a bunch of singing when I was younger. I know my voice doesn't sound like it would be a good singing voice, but
hey, so did I. So I'm not one to judge.
So I used to tour like European countries coming over here from America. So one time, our biggest trip was to Italy, and I'm not going to drop any names, but we used to have a famous like instrumentalist as our conductor, and he
was it Angelo Badalamenti?
No.
Fuck. All right, I had to go.
It was a good shot, try.
Thank you.
But like, if you know anything about those type of people, they're a little out there. Those the musician people. I'm not trying to insult anyone, but those type of people are can get a little bit out there, like anyone at the top of their field does. And it turned out he was bipolar, just like Gleeb. And we did not know this at the time until a week before the tour. And so he went on his medication during the tour. And let's just say the medication that is prescribed to people with bipolar disorder can make them go a little bit wonky if the medications aren't closely monitored. And as a result, coming back actually from Rome to fly into France to get our connecting flight, he got our whole group detained because he went into a manic episode because his pills were like affecting him too much, and he tried to kill himself. So it's one. I was
about to ask the question: was it like a funny manic episode, like what happens on Hollywood films? But obviously, it wasn't a very funny manic episode. So.
Well, yeah, because like I said, with these people, they like think differently. So when his instrument, because he did play his instrument a bit during the tour. His instrument got put underneath the luggage carrier into the plane because he's used to having his instruments treated like people. They flipped out. He flipped out and like tried to take nail clippers to himself, which and from there it was like completely crazy. So I mean, I know this situation is a little bit like they stopped it before he could go in, but that could have been very similar case to him if Gleeb got into the finals and stuff like that. And personally, what I saw, because I watched Gleeb stream a lot when he streamed, he was very, I was worried for him when he came to the Fusion House. It was noticeably different. So I hope he gets well, but I think that was probably for the best. And if he doesn't come back to professional gaming, I think he still, it sucks that it happened, but I think it's one of the best things to happen to him, because what would have happened? Just think about what would have happened to him if he were to lose, that sort of stuff. Because with him, he puts the blame on himself, and with the medication, it could have been really, really poor.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, I've been around fucking lots of people with mental health problems. I've suffered with depression myself. Never had anything as serious as bipolar, and whatnot. And definitely, it's a fucking, it's not cool. I mean, it's like a lot of mental illnesses. Adjusting to the medication can be as bad, if not worse, than the condition itself. And I definitely think, absolutely, there's no question that the best thing for them to do was to basically put him on, permanent hiatus while he adjusts. It's interesting. I think there's a lot of organizations that maybe would have tried to have soldiered on. I think there's some organizations as well that would have probably cut him from the roster entirely, which isn't exactly the fucking, most sensitive way to handle it.
Well, there's the other way too, where some organizations may have just kept pushing him. Like you said, some players might have kept pushing him, but definitely there are some more shadier organizations who would have just said, grow up.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think this is again. It ties into a far bigger debate that we need to have, and we've never really had it yet. I mean, it's interesting that we're talking at the moment. Scripting and cheating at LAN is a hot topic of debate. We're definitely having that discussion, and people are starting to do something about it. Yet we've never had a meaningful discussion about mental health in esports yet. Never. And partly one of the reasons for this is the huge stigma that comes with it. We're dealing with an incredibly young audience, an audience that I say, for the most part, like to point and sneer at anyone that shows any weakness or vulnerability or differences. So that's reason number one. I mean, I've spoken to older guys, big, name esports celebrities who've suffered with depression, who've said they would never go on the record and talk about it, or they've never felt comfortable doing it. And I liken it to when Total Biscuit opened up about cancer, and talked about, this is what was happening with my asshole in the build up to cancer, and everyone was like, oh, he's talking about poo, and it's like, dudes, like, it's a fucking serious thing. Like, you gotta talk about it. And if we can't talk about bowel movements, it seems to be there's way more stigma about fucking mental health. We've never had the discussion. I meet players all the time that are clearly not in an environment that's healthy for their, for the conditions that they have. I see a lot of players that are dealing with stress and anxiety and depression disorders, and I don't see any support infrastructure for them. I mean, what Fusion have done with Gleeb is incredible. It's great. It's a real great gesture on their part to be so understanding, and it's what you would expect from a professional organization while he adjusts to his meds. Gleeb seems to be on top of it. He's talking to his, healthcare practitioners, but ultimately, we've got no idea. Is he being monitored? Is there someone that look after him? Someone that make sure he's taking his meds? Things like this. And is there a manager involved? We can presume all of those things are indeed present, but I think for a lot of players they're not. And we need to wake up to it. I think we've got to have a discussion about it, dude. And maybe Gleeb can be the accelerator towards having that discussion, but maybe not.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. I mean, if you think about it, in the whole esports scene in its own, there's probably at least, and I'm assuming including amateurs, at least 1,000 young men and women who are trying to make it professionally. And you go on, like, just to have one person, like at least in League of Legends, come out, because I don't really know of many other situations like this, and say, I have a problem, I need help. That's statistically impossible. That only one out of hundreds in the league community, and one out of probably tens out of thousands are the only ones being affected by manic depression, bipolar disorder, and other mental health illnesses that would be developing during this time.
I mean, I got to say as well, a lot of the tournament organizers and TV broadcasting people, they don't get it either. And since as you opened up with a story, I'll tell one of my own. And again, just it wouldn't be an episode if I didn't mention CGS. So when I took a team to CGS, I took a Counter-Strike Source team. I was the manager of Zboard, one of the UK's most successful teams, and we went to this event and we had a fucking insane time down there. Like, literally, it started out great. We were beating everybody. We were living in an apartment. I'd managed to get the Ceratec, the people behind Zboard, the sponsors, to chuck us like enough money to have an apartment in Birmingham. We were all there. Everything was great. And then slowly it started to fucking unravel. One of the players hit another player because he'd been railing on him the entire time. Then he pushed an iron through a wall, and we were all fucked. And we were told, like, we weren't going to get picked up anyway because of bad behavior. But then for the benefits of the broadcast, because we'd finished, second overall in the combine, we were being told we've got to go to the TVs. We've got to go. And everyone was mentally fried. We were fucking exhausted. And they were telling us, oh, it's totally fine. You're going to get an open, a clean slate. Everything's good. So we eventually got persuaded to go down there, and we went through, and it was really tough, and We fucking beat the teams. We did everything we needed to do. We finished second overall again, lost in the finals. And we were like, well, have we done enough to get drafted? And then we just got told no. We just got told flat out no. And obviously, there was a lot of talks about it all being predetermined anyway before we went down there. That was a big fucking illusion. It was all bullshit. But ultimately, the bad behavior, the drinking, the partying, all the things that were being said about us because the CGS had spies everywhere, caught up, and all the people who put their lives on hold and had invested in this idea. And you got to understand, it was being rammed down these guys' throats. We're talking young guys, you know, like 17, 18-year-old, like your LCS pros, and they were being told, this is it, this is it, this is as big as it's ever going to get. You're going to be a pro gamer, you're going to be on TV. This is your fucking, this is your destiny. And then when it doesn't happen, there's no one on hand to come to you and console you. In fact, what we got, while, you know, these guys, I was trying to console the guys, these guys were crying, and then just the TV crew just came and put a camera in their face, do an interview, and I was like, get the fuck out. I don't give a fuck if we're in a TV studio. Seriously, get the fuck out. I'll kick all your asses. Leave my players alone. And they wouldn't. They were going, oh no, but we've got to do the segment. And I was like, then look at them. They're not fucking ready to do the segment, dudes. Like, seriously, they're fucked. And they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And they were asking them questions like designed to make them cry as well, because they thought it would be good. So it's like, you know, not like just, you know, obviously you've lost, but, you know, what are your plans for the future? It was, this must be such a bitter blow because now your life's just over. And it was just shit like that, you know? It was like, what the fuck? So esports as an environment can be like crazy stressful for these young guys. And I think sometimes the people around them that should be looking out for their interests, they're thinking more about the product. They're thinking more about the show. They're thinking more about, you know, what makes for a good story and not what actually makes for a healthy and balanced individual to cope with some pretty, you know, extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah, no, that kind of reminds me, and this is a much lower scale than that. But if you remember back to the first split of LCS when Curse tried to have to requalify, they did that whole like, what are you guys gonna do? Like that whole like really melodramatic sort of story of like what's gonna happen to Curse if they don't qualify, and they're all talking like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life after this, like, oh, I'm gonna like, I don't have anywhere to go, and all this sort of like really like depressing stuff. And of course the joke was Boy was like, oh, I'm just gonna go to medical school. But like it's just like everyone is fed off of the drama that happens if these people don't make it. Like what's the meme on the Reddit thing, like, have you seen Piglet cry with him joking face? Like everyone just wants to see the tears of these players, and it's kind of like, to be fair, like there are certain players who I don't like that we probably will mention later, you guys will probably mention later in the show, but like that we wouldn't mind seeing them cry, but that's because they're not disliked. Everyone just wants to see like the decent people just get shit on, and it's kind of disgusting. And I don't want to go into that whole like the whole community's cancer bullshit, because that's a different story entirely.
I don't even necessarily think, you know, you this is a debate that necessarily has to even overlap with the community treating players bad. But what I do know is if you've got an underlying anxiety, you know, stress, depression, you know, bipolar disorder, and you're put into a very difficult set of circumstances, and even the fucking adults and the, you know, the people that should be, you know, the people that have a duty of care to you ultimately, that's what it's called in the workplace. You have a duty of care. You know, your boss has a duty of care to their employees, you know, even at the point where if you go out to like a works Christmas party, the manager's duty of care still extends to you at that party, as I found out when I was a manager. And it was like, you know, like you're bumping fucking rails and tossing back beers, and then, you know, my boss would come up to me and going, why aren't you looking after your guys? Someone from your team's just like, you know, he's outside, he's throwing up, he's trying to start a fist fight. I'm like, motherfucker, this is the Christmas party. He's like, you still got a duty of care, dude. Do your job. I'm like, fuck this. I'll go sort it out. So, you know, it's you know, the duty of care towards these young people, it never fucking ends. You know, it's got to. People need to be really mindful that you know, a lot of the time they're going to be looking to you for guidance, looking to you for help, and looking towards you to at least not exacerbate the stress they're already feeling. You lose an important game and you crash out of a fucking tournament. You know, you don't need the people who ran that tournament to be like, hey, want to do this like fucking super stressful interview live on air right now while your tears are still fresh, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Seems fucked up. But anyway, you had another point you wanted to talk about.
Well, yeah, I wanted, and I'm a complete noob when it comes to CSGO, but I did watch that whole thing live, the whole drama of, what did you call it, Boostgate?
Yeah, Boostgate.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened, but I found that whole situation in CSGO so interesting, and I just had to talk about it, because it was just, basically, for the people who don't know, and I'll try to do my best to explain it, is you had this one team, Fnatic, and they took liberties with, I guess, pixel walking, which is when you walk on something you're not supposed to be walking on, and boosted themselves over the map to get a view on everything. Yeah. To basically see, and basically from that point on, the game was over. And what LCDC, spoilers, the eventual winners of the DreamHack tournament, were playing against them. And they had a commanding lead, I guess, on what is considered a CT-sided map, which is, like, I guess, like the people who try to stop the bomb. And so, as soon as that happened, that the boost happened, the game was over. Because as Thorin explained it, from that position that Fnatic took, they could see basically across the map to where LCDC spawned, to see where they're going and to stop them and to kill them if the shot was available. And so from what happened is they came back from something, I think, by the way, it takes 16 points to win, something like 13-3.
Yeah, it was 13-3 down they were at one point.
Yeah, and then they came back, and did they even, I can't remember, did LCD, I can't say it,
LDLC. It's alright, but you did say LCDC, which sounds like, obviously, ACDC.
Yeah, that's what I first took it.
No, it's alright, because you were talking about singing earlier, and obviously you made a connection in your brain, it's okay, and we all like ACDC, obviously. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, they did. They lost.
Off of them? But did they get a point off of them after the boost?
No.
No, they didn't.
I think it finished 16-13.
Yeah. So that, like, basically big drama happened then because these group of people protested, which was rightfully so. And this is where it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. And it took something like 6 hours for DreamHack to basically say, okay, this was illegal. Like, it needs to be replayed. And then they were going to originally start it at 13-3 again with Fnatic back on the CT side. And then some Fnatic protested, and within 30 minutes that changed to just replaying the whole map.
Yeah.
So there was big drama with that, and eventually Fnatic, whether I heard rumors, and maybe you're more the one to confirm this, that pushing from their sponsors, Fnatic was forced to resign and quit the tournament.
Yeah.
And then
let me jump in, right? So first thing, because I think there's a lot of things that people don't really understand about what was going on at that time. So ACDC, they were as pissed off as Fnatic, I think. Nobody was really happy with the way it was all resolved. You know, LDLC had a fair lead. They'd used some very minor boosts, which, if you were to go by the 2013 DreamHack rules, would have been punishable at best by, like, you just forfeit the round you used the boosts in. Fnatic used a boost that was, you know, far, far worse and far more game-breaking. And they used it for an entire half and won a game because of it. So if you did the rule, that would have been present in 2013, which is you forfeit the rounds you use the boost in, then LC, you've got me saying it now, LDLC would have fucking, you know, they would have won comfortably anyway. So the problem was DreamHack, for some fucking reason, had took the pixel walking rule out, which makes no fucking sense to me, because how does a rule set devolve? Like, the only reason you would have to take pixel walking out of the rule set would be that, A, if the community had suddenly decided that pixel walking was okay, which they absolutely haven't, as we saw from the reaction to the boost, or B, there was no further instances of pixel walking in the game, which, by the very boost's existence, we can also see isn't true. So there was a mad conspiracy theory going around that Fnatic, because they had discovered this boost, like something like 2 months prior.
2 months.
Yeah, to the tournament. They saw a YouTube video which had barely any views. They went to the person who posted it through JW, through a mutual friend, and said, take the video down because we want to use that for our tactics, and he agreed. Now, Fnatic haven't denied that. I haven't seen any evidence, but Fnatic haven't denied it.
I'm sorry, but the person, I remember it being on Reddit.
Yeah,
the person who uploaded it said that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. The person who uploaded the video said that's what happened. But again, I haven't seen any evidence to corroborate his story. But there's one other guy who corroborates it because he says he was the mutual friend. It sounds plausible. I believe it. But I'm just saying for the benefit of impartiality or whatever the fuck that I haven't seen any corroborating, you know, evidence apart from his account of things. But Fnatic haven't denied it. So anyway, they obtained this video. They know the boost, they know the tactic, they know they're going to put it as an ace up their sleeve and use it at this tournament. They don't inform anyone. And the conspiracy theory was actually, and this, I don't believe it, but that there was a group with the DreamHack admins in, and obviously DreamHack's a Swedish event, Fnatic are a Swedish team. So Fnatic, in this conspiracy theory, had said to the DreamHack admins, can you remove pixel walking from the rules? Just because we think it shouldn't be there. And they did it knowing they were going to use this boost again. Don't believe that, but that's what a lot of people were saying. So then, obviously, they fucking, you know, they bust out the boost. They've used it. And they were going to just replay from the half. DreamHack had agreed we'll play from the half. We'll play from 13-2. And everyone was like, okay, all right, sounds good. But, you know, then Fnatic put in a counter-complaint, a bogus one, in my opinion, and pointed to 2 rounds that LDLC had used a similar boost. And by similar, I mean, it was a boost. I mean, it wasn't similar at all. It didn't break the game in the same way. So they put in a counter-complaint, and that's why it got reset to 0-0.
Isn't the rule, and this is, again, what I've just read through, the rule about boosting is that you can't get like a competitive advantage over it.
No.
No.
The rule about boosting is okay. So the reason that they overruled the boost was that it had an immortal bug in it and some transparency of textures. So when you boost into certain parts of a map, if you look at the texture and it's see-through, because that confers you an illegal advantage that wasn't intended by the mechanics of the map, that's game breaking, therefore it's an illegal boost. What was happening with this was, because of the way the textures were laid out, if you were shot at from certain angles, it wouldn't register with a hitbox, and that was what they called the immortal bug, which is why they said the boost was illegal. Not the pixel walking itself, but had we been talking about the 2013 rules, it would have been illegal. So I have no idea why it changed. The other interesting point to note was LDLC said they were never given a set of rules, and DreamHack had publicly said in the aftermath of the controversy that they'd sent rules to everybody. But LDLC said we never got a rule book. Now, you can say, well, that's your fucking fault, you should have asked, or you can say, you know, it's up to DreamHack to make sure everyone has the rules before their tournament. You know, I'm not going to pick a side on that one, but that's what LDLC said.
Yeah. Now, who was it? One of their players, and I'm not involved enough with CSGO to know the whole players' names and stuff like that, but one of them provided a screenshot of his phone where
that was MBK. MBK tweeted a screenshot saying DreamHack had told a Porky Pie by saying that everyone had got the copy of the rules, and he tweeted showing him asking for it on Skype. But again, I mean, I'm not saying Nathan would make it up. I'm sure LDLC didn't get the rules, but I mean, maybe it's not DreamHack's fault either. It could be a breakdown in communication when no one benefits. But this is where it gets interesting, to come to your point about sponsor pressure. So I was in the Twitch lounge. I was running the Twitch lounge, as anyone who watched the event knows. Now, there's a flurry of activity, Warhood, all right? Early that morning, we'd heard rumors that Fnatic were going to pull out the tournament. Like that morning. Now, what's interesting and what nobody knows, because it was never reported out of there, LDLC were going to pull out the tournament, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which, I hope everyone can forgive me for saying that. But that was going to... I think it makes them winning the tournament actually way more cool. But this was never reported by anyone. But LDLC woke up that morning with the intention to pull out of the tournament. There's like... That's... They were just as pissed off with how everything had went. They didn't want to replay the map from scratch. Obviously they'd gone through an emotional fucking roller coaster, and I just think they just were like, do you know what, fuck it, because it felt to them like lose. Now Fnatic, for some reason, had also decided to pull out of the tournament, so they'd simultaneously, overnight, decided, like, neither of us are gonna compete in the tournament, neither of us. So. But the interesting thing is, while I understand LDLC's motivations, I don't understand Fnatic's. We couldn't understand it. It seemed very strange to me that the management of Fnatic were talking about how down and dejected the players were when after they won, after using that boost, which they must have known was going to cause problems, they were all high-fiving each other and celebrating, like... They didn't look fucking depressed then. So I don't know what changed overnight. And we had some very reliable sources, and it was reported in Aftonbladet, the Swedish paper, the Swedish online publication, that Steel Series were one of the sponsors that had applied pressure, but we had reliable sources tell us after the forfeit that the sponsors had applied pressure to Fnatic, based on a campaign that had started on HLTV, which was to mass spam all the sponsors of the team. And the only name I know for definite was Steel Series, but this was reported on. Fnatic management have denied that it was anything to do with sponsors and said that it's that they wanted to do the right thing by the community. Then their players come out and say this community's a fucking joke. I mean, this whole thing is a PR disaster. I mean, worse than my Reddit posting history. It's savage.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, I mean, I think the sponsors did apply a little bit of pressure. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But they've denied it. I'm friends with Khan. I'm friends with the business manager over there, a great guy called Sard. I've got nothing but respect for the Fnatic organization, the Fnatic brand. But they've fucked this up, I mean, they fucked this up from start to finish. The Flusher accusations, everything else. They've handled this so poorly. It's not in keeping with what I associate with Fnatic. So it's a bit of a fucked up situation. And I gotta say, the way that Fnatic have handled the cheating accusations and Boostgate, I can't imagine why they would pull out, because they clearly look like a team who wanted to win at all costs. I don't know how that changes after a night's sleep and checking your social media and realizing you're not liked, because they knew that going into the final anyway. I mean, anyone who saw the crowd watching the Fnatic games, keep in mind this is a Swedish event with a Swedish crowd and a Swedish team, and whenever Fnatic were playing, I mean, before the boost, it was maybe 25% of the audience like, well done, great shot, dude. Like, polite ripple of applause. Like, compare that to what was happening with Nip, and everyone was going fucking ape shit, like just loving them.
Yeah,
all through the tournament. After fucking Boostgate, if they turned up, God knows how the crowd would have reacted. So, so yeah, lots of. I mean, look, there was lots of shit because I personally, look, if you were to ask me, Richard, what do you think happened? I think the sponsor story rings true. We all got told roughly the same time. Like journalists all got told in about a half-hour time period from very reliable sources. And I say Afton Bladed were the only people kind of with the balls, or not even just the balls, but I guess like it really is. Reporting on that story is twisting the knife, like no doubt. Because it makes their like whole thing about we respect the community and we respect the tournament and we respect our opponents. It really takes that away and makes it look like PR bullshit. So, and you know, it was a very precarious time for CSGO people, and it still is. We're not out of the woods. So, but I respect Afton Bladed reporting it, because, and certainly they weren't the only journalists to be informed. So, so anyway, look, it's been a long call because you brought up two topics and I've waffled because I'm in waffle mode. But look, it was great to get you calling, get your thoughts on both things. I really appreciate you calling in, Warhood. Always good to see a regular call.
It's nice to be on the show for once.
Awesome, dude. Hopefully we'll get you on again sometime. You have a great evening.
Peace.
Peace. There you go. So that was Warhood, the man from the Organ Trail video in the YouTube channel, the Mighty Warhood. Lots to talk about there. I mean, I think just to have a serious, conversation about, mental health, definitely a good idea. Something we need to do in how it relates to esports very, very soon. In regards to the fucking Boostgate thing, I got to agree. I think it probably was the sponsors pushing the agenda there. But I know Fnatic aren't gonna like it. I know Khan's gonna hate me for saying it, but this is what I do. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend otherwise. Sam, I hear you rumbling. What's up?
Nothing, man. I got the same disease as you. I've got fucking LAN aids and travel aids.
Well, you were saying your computer's shit in the bed. What's going on?
Yeah, apparently my computer's dying as well. I have no idea. But as for the CSGO thing, you were right. Like, I think the crowd would have shit on Fnatic if they had come back. Even the Swedish crowd, because I was there, like, the entire event in the crowd. And they were going crazy. Like, if NIP traded fucking one kill, they'd explode. Yeah. For Fnatic, they were just, like, barely clapping.
I saw them going crazy when they were losing rounds.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like someone got like, I know it was like a 4-on-1, and like the NIP player would make 2 kills, because they all just rushed him at once, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, did you see that?" Like I saw someone did like a jump in no scope just to mess around because like they knew they'd lost the round and they were about to get killed anyway, so they just went for a kill, and then someone was like, "Oh my god, that's like the best shot I've ever seen." I'm like, can everyone just calm the fuck down? Like, we all want NIP to do well, but Jesus, like. But yeah, there was some. I mean, the Swedish support was real, and Fnatic didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
This whole Flusher scandal is like a fucking millstone around their neck right now. Anyway, who've we got for the next call?
Next you have Silver, and they want to talk about the expansion tournament and Final Five's chances, and also wants to follow up on that Gleeb talk on how scrims can affect people.
Interesting. Okay, then. So we'll start with the Final Five chat. I think. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, awesome. So you want to talk about Final Five's chances in the expansion tournament? I mean, I gotta say, I've been pleasantly impressed. Pleasantly surprised by how they've done, and I think my mate Nintendo dude. He said right at the start of the tournament, he said they're the dark horses, they're the ones to watch, and they've been playing really well. What do you think?
Well, we're against Nintendo next, or at least they are.
Mm.
They had the easiest group by far, like Group D. If I was to rank like the top 10 teams, like Zenith would be like number 8 and Complexity Black would be like number 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how much you can tell from it, but I think they've been doing well. They've definitely improved.
Well, they've definitely improved, but I mean, the real question is, are they in with a chance of actually winning it?
I wouldn't say so.
Tell me why then.
Because, okay, for one reason, I was with the team for a while. I was like the coach for a month or so. And the big reason is they're scrim partners. They aren't getting any LCS scrims. All these 3 other teams are getting like all these LCS scrims. They're scrimming Dignitas, CLG, TSM, Cloud9, whatever else. They're not getting any. They're scrimming cognitive. Does anyone even know the cognitive lineup?
I don't. The last time I wrote about cognitive was when that dude snuck into the player's bed. I think that was the last time. I mean, are they still going?
They have a different lineup. I think it's the same manager. That's about it.
That's good. Come into a hotel near you soon. But no, I mean, is that like I see? Because again, there is something similar in Counter-Strike, but I don't really know about how the scrims kind of work in League of Legends. It's because I've never managed a team in it, so I've never been privy to how it works. But I mean, do LCS teams shun, challenger teams, lesser teams?
If they don't think the scrim is worth it, they won't scrim them, and it's also somewhat to do with the managers. If your manager is good enough, they'll be in chats with other LCS chats, and if they aren't, well, you don't get those scrims. So, and I don't think people see Final Five as a good enough team to actually be able to get the required practice they need. Like, going up to the expansion, they were scrimming low pro for a long time, and I've watched the scrims. The results weren't really what people want to see, but they were results. So
I mean, what do you think happens if they, don't beat Fusion? I mean, can they?
I think anything bad happens. I think they're there and they've made it far.
Yeah, but I mean, will people remember who they are? Will people still talk? I mean, this is the important thing. I think when you make your mark on a tournament, you've got to build on it, and you've got to do something. Whether it's we get a bigger sponsor, we get a bigger name player, or we make some sort of announcement. You've got to keep the momentum moving forward. It's not just enough to sort of crash out and then you become like a pub quiz question, a bit of trivia that only 5 people can remember in 12 months' time.
I think the name becomes bigger. Like, I think as far as I know from the manager, she wants to keep it together. So it's like, the team I think will last. I definitely think it has a good amount to do with the players. Like, none of these players besides Rux on the team has any LAN experience. So it's like, now that they get experience, they'll get some good games under their belt. I think that just basically it's for the players are the ones that'll win, even if they lose. Like, if they could lose 0-6, which I'm not expecting they're going to go 0-6, but even if they go 0-6, I think they come out ahead just by the experience. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I agree with you. I like to say I've been hugely impressed. I was impressed by the way Enemy played actually, and but those guys were fucking douchebags, so it was a lot harder to kind of say good things about them, but they absolutely impressed me. So let's talk about your second point, which was you wanted to expand on the Gleeb talk and mental health issues in esports. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, that point, I do think it's a real issue. Like, I think most of the people in esports have like anxiety disorders and stuff, but it's not brought enough. I did say that. I can talk about it, but like, that's why this whole issue when you go to like LAN events, can these people cope under pressure, is such a big thing. It's like the X Factor. It's just there's no one there right now. There's no one getting paid unless you're like in a top name LCS team. No one has the money to really pay for someone who actually has experience or a coach who actually knows how to make sure these players have the right mindset going into the games or whatever. So
I mean, what do you think about sports psychologists? Are they people who can maybe help? Yeah. Because I thought this was interesting. We've seen it. So every team in LCS is going to require a coach of some sort. Now, I guess what's going to separate the elite organizations from the second tier is probably going to be sports psychologists. All the top teams that I have any ties with, they're all saying we're bringing in our own sports psychologist. For LCS and stuff, and I think that'll, it's probably only going to be a luxury that only the top teams can afford, but I definitely think it's going to be helpful and something that'll address this problem.
Yeah, I think this might seem weird to sound, but 90% of coaching is not game related.
No, you're right. You're on the fucking money. I know this. I've said it many times myself. A lot of the time, it's how you manage and resolve conflict and how you kind of manage and deal with stressful situations, how focus. Like, so many coaches are almost like glorified analysts, like former players who come in and, oh, you should do this and try doing this and buy this item or whatever the fuck, and it's actually not that useful. It's What the player needs is, you know, like even little things, fucking breathing exercises, you know, things like that. Like, you know, the coaches don't seem to bring a lot to the table. I've talked to a lot of you know, sports coaches of late who have been taking a good look at esports, and a lot of them are actually appalled at what they see. You know, they don't see there's some very fundamental basics not being addressed by the so-called coaches.
Yeah, like I only have to work on land. 90% of what I do is like trying to figure out. Well, not 90%, like 50% of what I do is like trying to teach players how to figure out their own mistakes. Which, again, going back to like mental things, is if some people are going through mental problems, having to focus on your own mistakes can be really hard. Because that's what, like, if you're going to improve, you need to know what you're doing wrong. And you need to be able to figure that out yourself. So
I agree, but it's like you say, you know, if you're not in a place mentally where you can receive the criticism or the feedback, you know, it's not going to go in. And that's what I mean. I think it's you know, it's absolutely key to get people into a good mental place before you even try and address you know, in-game issues, because otherwise you're wasting your time. You know, it's it's like painting over wallpaper and then you realize you've got to do some plastering. You know, it's all gonna have to come off. You've just made more work for yourself.
There's two places in which I kind of like that's kind of shown this. It might seem weird, but I think this came up in the Gamers 2 and Millennium matches. Like, you have these great players, but I feel like there was something holding those two teams back. Like, there was so much drama around Gamers 2 with the whole incident with Last Shadow and Ocelot and stuff. It might just be me, but I feel like that was holding them back as well, and there was no one there to help get those teams through it, and that's why they ended up losing in the second round.
Gamers 2 definitely fucking choked. I mean, that second match they played, that lasted, I mean, Jesus Christ. I was like clean shaven when that game began. Like, holy shit, it just didn't end, and it was horrible. And yeah, and you know, it was like you could see, like, even when they were in positions to capitalize, they almost were afraid to take them. They were afraid to take the plunge, and that, you know, they're signs of a classic choke. There was very few players on the team that really seemed to be, you know, free from nerves, and I think they all just invested so much into that series about, you know, it's the difference between wanting to win and being afraid to lose, and how you handle those two conflicting outlooks. And Gamers 2 froze up because they were afraid to lose, I think.
Yeah, no one there to be able to like say, this is calm down, this is what we need to do, expand, fight it out.
But I here's what I did find interesting. Gamers 2 being the teams that were like, you know, we don't need a living coach. We don't need a living coach, you know. Broken Shard, you can fuck off. You know, Last Shadow, they had a bit of a, you know, spent some time with him, and then it was like, we don't need you. You're actually not that good enough. You're not going to help us improve. Your feedback's subpar, which is something, you know, no one's ever said about him before. And it just feels like, I don't know, they just... maybe, like, and I'm not going to say Ocelot, but maybe there's a problem with some of the personalities in the team and their ability to open themselves to taking feedback, because this is a huge problem as well, that a lot of people think, you know, a coach needs credibility as a player, and that's something that's got to change. I think maybe some of those people were thinking, fuck you, Broken Shard, you died to red buff, you ain't gonna teach me shit, you know. And like, when you've got that attitude, you know, then anything they say is a waste of their time. It's moot, you know. It's whereas, you know, it doesn't matter. You can be a very effective coach. You might not be the best player, but you can be a very effective coach, you know. And that's something I think a lot of league players need to maybe wake up to, certainly as the sport evolves. But yeah, I mean, in the Millennium thing, holy shit, that was a shock.
Yeah, I did not. Ryu, was not what I was expecting him to be. Horo had a really good game one, but after that, it felt like two of the players didn't want to win at all.
No, it was crazy. I was expecting big things from Ryu, and you know, so was Anne Prague, just to get the obligatory name drop in. But yeah, it was fucking crazy. I mean, I don't know what happened. Millennium were my tip to win the whole thing, come into LCS and actually challenge. So it shows what the fuck I know. But yeah, I was amazed at how, just how that went. Just incredible.
What are the teams left in the EU expansion as well? There's Giants and what was the team that beat? I forget the team that beat Gamers 2.
God, I should why.
Oh, and faculty.
Yeah, that's it. Faculty. Fucking massive.
There's H2K Gaming, and then there's one other.
Please.
Sad. We can't.
I know, isn't it? Because do you know why I can't even name my own fucking region? Because I've just been paying non-stop attention to like North America. But I think that just proves which region's the best, right? Come on, I'm gonna put my glasses on and read the chat. Like, let me have a look. They're gonna come at my rescue and tell me. Here you go. Yeah, Reason Gaming.
Yeah.
Reason Gaming, and they're a fucking mix. They're not even a real team. So, no disrespect, Reason. I love you. They're my boys, but UK-based organization.
I feel like Giants rosters is like almost exactly the same as Final Five as far as the public goes. Like, who does anyone know on Giants? Like Rydal.
Well, I mean, yeah, I definitely didn't know it. Well, I mean, like Broken Shard's always been in my ear telling me how good they are. Actually, he's been telling me about it, but I just.
So now Broken Shard with Giants and Nintendo with Final Five. Okay.
Yeah, like it's almost as if they know what they're talking about sometimes, but only sometimes. But yeah, he was telling me about them. The reason he brought it up was because obviously they beat Gamers 2 at ESWC. Yeah, and Gamers 2 only finished third, I think, but Giants won the whole thing. And he was saying, like, these guys fucking chewed us up, man. They were real. And that was another thing, like, he's saying that, Pepinero, who's obviously been accused of scripting by some people, he's saying he's fucking unbelievable when it comes to certain champions. Like, Broken Shard's definitely had his finger on the pulse there. So, yeah, but I mean, I think this is good, though. I think this is probably one of the best things that could happen to the challenger scenes in both regions would be if these smaller teams actually were to do really well and to get into LCS, because we all know that these scenes suffer from recycling people with reputations rather than people investing in talent a little bit further down the trough that maybe no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, it's like money doesn't always buy you wins. That's kind of weird. Like, I would wish to see Final Five do well. Like, 4 of those players in Final Five have a lot of potential. If I'm coaching them, like, I'm just putting one name out there. Gate is, I think, the best player I've ever coached in my life. He's an amazing player, and he's really skilled. He has a perfect attitude, and I think he'll do really well. But, I don't see the team with the experience they have, and with the current management system they have, honestly, getting into the LCS. No offense to them, but they're great guys.
Well, we'll see how it pans out sooner rather than later. We're going to try and fit one more caller in before we go on break. So look, it was great of you to call in. I really appreciate it. Hope you'll call in again sometime. And thanks for bringing up all your points.
Yeah.
Have a lovely evening. Take care. So there we go. We're talking about some of the expansion tournament stuff. And I gotta say, Sam, it's like I said on the fucking First Blood the week before. I said, Gamers 2, if you don't win this fucking tournament with the roster you've got and all the money and shit you've invested in it, just fucking disband.
Yeah. Have they not disbanded yet? Like, I've been waiting for the announcement to say, well...
I've been in a coma since I got back from fucking my voice is going. I sound like fucking Doug Stanhope. Like,
yeah.
I'm absolutely fucked. So, I'm kind of hoping that, it's not even hoping. Like, look, it's just time for a fucking change, boys. Switch it up. It ain't working.
It's not like they have a fan base behind them for a reason to keep going. It's not that many people like them.
Well, I mean, that's another point as well. I mean, they got some players in that team that could do really well. Ku or Ko, or however the fuck people are saying it this week. He's really good, and I saw he messaged someone and said, I was 1v9. What the fuck can I do? And I thought, he stood out as much as anyone in that team stood out.
Yeah.
you know, and he's been a very good challenger jungler for a while now. I think he could probably do with a fresh challenge, you know.
I think it's just kind of choosing whether you want to go for the guaranteed money by going with G2, or if you want to go and try and actually be a good player and a successful player and going with the less rich organization but with a chance to actually get into LCS.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, you know, look, I'll say this. I think people are fucking short-sighted a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And people generally tend to do what's easy, and you know that goes without saying. But if I were those players, if I was young and ambitious, you know, I wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have stuck that out. You know, that's just me. But you know, they've given it now 2 attempts. Maybe more. Is that their third? No,
second, I think.
Second, it is second. Yeah, they're giving it 2 attempts. It hasn't worked. It's time to rejig it. You know, if Ocelot wants to keep going with 4 other players, maybe you can, you know, get some Korean ringers in, carry his ass, like, I don't know, whatever you need to do. But those other players need to fucking, you know, change the scene, in my opinion, because for whatever reason, that team ain't gonna work. I mean, that second game they played.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know I tweeted, let's never speak of it again, but let's just briefly speak of it again. It was fucking awful.
Yeah, it was so bad. I was just watching like parts of it from my hotel room, and I was like, "Nah, you're right."
70 minutes.
Yeah. Fuck me.
Let's go on more collaring.
Alright.
I hope we got one they want to talk about.
We have a Ty back again, and he wants to talk about Flame leaving and possibly moving to EG, ESL running the expansion tournament, and of course Joe Miller and Deman leaving. Right.
Right. So what was this chap's name? Sorry, I didn't catch.
Atai.
Atai. Hello, Atai. Can you hear me?
Hey, Richard.
Hey, it's you again.
Yeah, it's me again. I'm trying to get on every week.
Yeah, I know. I like it. You've got a great voice. I remember you.
Yeah. First of all, I want to apologize to Sam because, like, I send him like 50 messages every week, and most of them are like Samsung White and Sambuca and like trying to.
He tries to win me over with puns.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about first of all about Flame leaving CGNTS Blaze and possibly joining EG, because
let's do it. Let's talk about that. Is that the rumor? Is that the official Reddit rumor?
Yes, I think Scar leaked it on his Twitter. He said said something and he capitalized E and G where he shouldn't have. So it's and there is a rumor that a Korean player is coming to NA, another Korean player, and EG are looking for a top laner, and why not Flame? But my points are is that I don't think that's a good thing, because another Korean overlord leaving Korea and going towards the light, which is the eastern scene, western scene. Sorry. Because it's like the western scene is like a cemetery for fucking Korean players. Like, look at the CLG guy. Forgot his name. What was it called? Seraph. And,
I can't believe you forgot that. That's quite damning. Like, you know, we've already forgotten his name. Fuck it, he's done. He's out the business. You're dead to us, Seraph.
And now Horo and Ryu, which Anne Prague like said, "Oh my God, I can't wait for Ryu to shit on mid laners in Europe." And like,
just
then
the point on that though, because you know, and look, Reddit, you know, look, is just ridiculous in the way it demonizes people for opinions and stuff. That was for me a perfectly valid and legitimate opinion to hold. It made sense. I thought Ryu was going to do well. I'm pretty sure, you know, if we'd talking to the fucking, you know, Lord of all things Korean himself, Monte Cristo, I'm sure he would have said that as well. So, you know, she's got a lot of shit for making that prediction, but I think most people would have done.
I thought so too. But the funny thing is that Broken Shard like tweeted, "I can't wait to see what Anne Prague thinks about this," and then she said something like "fuck you, fatso," or something like that.
He gets that all the time. I mean, he's a smooth operator. He's a big hit with the ladies. He'll be all right. He'll bounce back.
Yeah,
the operative word on bounce. No, I'm just kidding. He's my man Ram. He's going to be down in London soon. I think in a couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
my second point is that if Flame will go to EG, is EG still part of the Good Game Agency? Because if that's the thing, then Alex Garfield as another player under his clause, like seriously, this guy will control like esports, everything about esports. This guy, I mean,
Well, that's what he wants to do, ultimately.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people in his way. I mean, you know, DreamHack and ESL in particular, you know, they're not going to play ball. I very much doubt MLG would play ball either. So, you know, it's you know, it's not quite checkmate in the game yet. And, you know, to be fair, it hasn't really made the progress or hasn't got to the stage where, you know, we're really seeing Good Game Agency have a huge impact on what's happening. He's going to need a few more teams. You know, I know Valve aren't happy about it. I talked about this with, you know, Bruno from Dota 2 at DreamHack. There's an interview on my YouTube channel. You can check that out. We talk at length about the Good Game Agency, actually, and its impact, you know, potentially on the game. And he's all right with it.
oh yeah,
Yeah. He doesn't think it's going to be evil overlord status just yet. You know, he thinks it's something that needs to be monitored. But you know, Valve are aware of it. You know, Riot have already made their play and made it difficult for him. I mean, all that time he spent building up the EG Alliance brands, and neither brand's going to be an LCS. You know, as long as they're under the Good Game Agency anyway.
yeah.
So
it shouldn't.
that's
be
a
like
massive
that.
fucking waste of time.
Yeah. Like it shouldn't be like that. I think that what needs to happen is that Riot, Valve, Blizzard, all these companies need to create like a player agency like FIFA in football, and that won't be like biased towards the game, like Riot is with all the things they're doing, and things like managers screwing over players and teams screwing over players and people trying to jump off a roof because they were screwed by their team. Like these things shouldn't happen in esports, and I think if Alex Garfield will continue like that way, and maybe it will be a good thing because maybe he'll create an agency or something like that, but I don't know. I don't see that happening. Okay, and my second part of what I want to talk about is Joe and Deman leaving Riot and most likely the LCS.
Big shoes to fill, like I said. So
yeah, like there aren't any casters in EU that like EU is not interesting at all. Like even you don't care about EU. Like so if no one cares about EU and you take the best things about it, who's gonna watch EU LCS now? Like we've seen the expansion tournament casters, they're fucking shit. So
is that your official assessment?
Yeah, that's my official assessment.
Well, what don't you like about them? Tell me.
Well, Azingi made a few good ultimates to like stall the team, and yeah, that was great. And all the sex tower thing.
Yeah, but what about, forget the jokes, right? They're not fucking stand-up comedians. What about their actual casting?
I think the current LCS casters are doing a way better job. Like most of the time they have good points and they predict good things and make the right assessments, but they're not as interesting. Maybe because Joe and Demon were like in LCS forever, and that's why we love them so much, and we need to give a shot to new casters. But
But this is what I mean, where there's not been environment and arena for new casters in League of Legends to really cut their teeth. Like, you know, Riot created an environment where it's like, look, it's LCS only. Then they have, you know, Challenger tournament eventually, which they built up to. You know, there wasn't any other stuff on the circuit. There wasn't, you know, a DreamHack. You know, you get the occasional IEM, but League of Legends could have tournaments every weekend, you know, like Dota 2 does, or, you know, increasingly we're getting towards that with, you know, Counter-Strike. You could have decent tournaments, you know, every month. And instead, we don't. And if you had decent tournaments every month, the top talent would be like, oh, I'm not going to fucking, you know, Outer Mongolia to play in the fucking, you know, to cast the Outer Mongolian, you know, special. I'm not going to do it. Fuck it, it's bollocks. It's a waste of my time, you know? And then another caster would be like, fuck it, man. I've always wanted to go out of Mongolia, and, you know, it's a good opportunity for me. And out they go, and they get some feedback from the Mongolians, and they build up. They get better. They improve. You know, right now, it's like the casters, literally, there's nothing for them to do. If it's a Riot, you know, there needs to be more tournaments, and for that, it seems there needs to be more, you know, sanctions from Riot to allow teams in the LCS to go and compete at these tournaments. And if they have that, then the tournaments will be big. People will want to go and watch it. You'll be able to fill a venue, fill a stadium, and yeah, I don't see the issue with that. You know, it's branding for the teams, it's branding for LCS. It would be a good thing all round for the League of Legends community, and indeed in this instance for the casters, because you'd have relatively big tournaments that they could do. And I think, you know, this is what's a massive problem. We've got this lack of experience. Like, these two guys, you know, they're doing their best. Like, and why are they even doing jokes at all? Well, here's why they do jokes. Because all of the main LCS casters, that's the style of casting they do. They do the gags, they do the jokes.
Yeah.
And even the shit jokes, the puns and stuff, right, which, if it was anyone else doing them, would just make you fucking cringe yourself in half. They've become part of that LCS broadcast experience. So we don't mind. We don't mind when Freak goes off one. We don't mind when Rivington has like an acid flashback and just starts babbling insane shit. It's part of the LCS experience. We've grown to like it. Yeah. So everyone else wants to fucking be like that because they want to fit in with the LCS template of what a broadcast should be like, which is why we've got to listen to these two dudes telling some of the shittest jokes I've heard since I used to do the open mic comedy clubs, which would just, you know, my mother-in-law, you know, fucking kill me, please, like, get me out of it. So, you know, I'm just saying that, you know, these guys aren't even being afforded a chance to develop their own styles. It's like, fit into the way we do things, make the existing audience like you by being like somebody else. And what they don't actually realize is you're never going to replace a Joe Miller, you're never going to replace a D-Man. Like, here's the thing, even if you were technically as good as them, which I think certainly in Joe Miller's case is, you know, Joe Miller is for me the best all-round commentator, you know, right now in esports. And I've said that for a long time. I think many people agree with me. It's huge shoes to fill. But even if you could be as technically good as him, in the eyes and ears of the fans, you will never be as good because you've got nostalgia.
Yeah,
you've got nostalgia associated with him. You know, so I think that's a huge problem. And this is what I mean. This has been a problem that's been a long time in the making. I don't think Riot had the foresight to ever envision a time where they wouldn't have Joe and D-Man, and as such, they've been really poorly prepared for it. And I don't know what the broadcast is going to be like next year, because, you know, they've not said who it's going to be, who's going to take over. And I've got to be honest, if it's these current two, and that's not because they're bad, but it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough because they're not going to evolve and have their own style. They're still going to be talking about Malphite dry humping towers and God knows what else. You know, oh look, there's Maokai pretending to be a tree because he is a tree. Did I mention trees? Like, is this fucking happening? You know. So yeah.
So I have two things to throw at you. First of
throw
all,
at me.
do you think Crepo casting the ULCS next season will happen? Because he doesn't have. I thought not for that. Alliance was his last option. Like, he doesn't have a better team to join at the moment.
Well, so Crepo, they were in talks with Alliance. He was in talks with Alliance. Alliance decided to go with Nif and give Nif another chance. Then, and this blew my mind, but then he was having talks with Super Hot Crew.
What?
Yeah, what? Yeah,
That's a major step down. Like,
yeah, well,
why
that's
would
what
you
I
take
said.
that?
That's exactly what I said, especially because Crepo was playing sick. But I don't think that's going to happen now. I think what's most likely is he's going to be in broadcasting, which I said so. But if he does join Super Hot Crew, I mean, like I'd like to see Crepo play one more split, see what he's got. I
Yeah.
think really raised his game towards the end. Everyone's talking about how like he's got this new gym regime and it's helping him. I'd like to see Crepo give it another go, especially with a team where he'd be like the father figure, like a Super Hot Crew. He'd be the experienced one. He'd be the big name. But the thing with Crepo is like he's got a very good analytical brain. I think he's going to be great on an analysis desk on a permanent basis. I don't think he's ready to cast because color and analysis are not the same. They're not the same, and a lot of people make that mistake. I don't think you could put him alongside. So let's say you had a good play-by-play or whatever, you had a good commentator, and I know like the League of Legends broadcasts don't necessarily work like that, but I don't know if you put him with somebody in that kind of environment, it'd be like when. I mean, well, okay. I suppose Deficio made the transition quite well, so maybe it could happen. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Crepo's best use is when he's got time to fully explain his thoughts and ideas about theory crafting around the game. That's where Crepo excels, and you don't want the awkwardness of the game interrupting his thoughts. You want him to be able to give his thoughts uninterrupted and explain his points. You don't always get that luxury when you're a color commentator, but you do when you're an analyst, unless you've got a very rude, host on the desk like me. So yeah, I think Crepo, if he goes to Super Hot Crew, great, but I think he'll be he will probably be on the Riot broadcasting team, and I think most likely on an analysis desk capacity. But who knows what the fuck's going to happen, because they're going to have to fill these two positions super fast.
Yeah, I think so too. And my second throwback to you is more like a question. What are Joe and Demon going to do now? Because LCS was like the biggest thing they could have done.
Look, dude, right? Joe has been put in charge of developing talent for ESL. Like, that's a huge fucking feather in his cap. And there was. I think Joe was always gonna, take this job with ESL and leave LCS behind. Joe will start casting Counter-Strike, and everyone will welcome him back with open arms, and he'll be like the #1 casting talent in Counter-Strike, like hands down. Like, everyone will want to book him, everyone will want him. There's a real thing gonna happen now in Counter-Strike, because Anders and Semler have been the dominant force in commentating on that game, and now old boys are returning, and there's going to be less jobs to go around because everyone's going to want to hear Joe Miller cast Counter-Strike again.
True that.
So that's going to happen. D-Man, he'll cast Counter-Strike. Mark my words.
Both of them?
Yeah. I don't know if they'll do it together necessarily, because, while everyone might want the partnership to stay together, Joe is play-by-play, and D-Man's play-by-play, and in Counter-Strike you can't really make two play-by-plays work. You need somebody there to give you some colour, to actually give you some some brief, succinct, contextual analysis to what's happening in the game. And typically you do it during the buy time, or when there's like a pause, or when there's like a slow build-up tactic. If you look at like how Anders and Semler do it, they actually jump between and end up doing bits of run over play-by-play, because you haven't got a lot of time to execute your thoughts. So you need somebody who really knows what they're going to say. And Joe Miller and Thorin used to do it for ESL. I think a lot of people might want to see that happen again. I don't know if there's maybe some burnt bridges there. But certainly Joe Miller will walk into jobs. He'll walk into any job he wants in Counter-Strike. D-Man might take a little bit more convincing, but actually, if you were a fucking CSGO organizer and you've got the chance to put D-Man in his first Counter-Strike role, and you're probably going to get all the LCS fanboys come just to see what's happening, I'd do it. It's going to be a good boost for your stream traffic. So they'll both do CS. I mean, I think Lee will probably do a bit of everything. I think ESL, they do lots of like tournaments for other games, for other titles, and you jump in and you have to do a bit of everything.
Yeah,
I think that's what.
No disrespect to CSGO, but isn't CSGO a step down from League? I mean, it's an older game, but
not anymore. I mean, like, what was it? What did we peak at DreamHack? Including the TV numbers, it was over 500,000.
Really, 500,000?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I watched it too. I didn't know
I think
what
it was
the
like
fuck was going on.
430K on the mainstream.
Wow, that's a lot. I didn't think that CSGO will reach that number. I mean, I posted it on my Facebook.
What's
so
this? Someone's saying I'm wrong. And did someone say 700K? That can't be right.
700K. Wow, that's a lot.
But anyway, I'm pretty sure it was like 430K on the mainstream. The bottom line is, every time there's a major tournament on, now, I mean, you compare that to, you know, it far eclipses your average week in LCS now. It's gone way beyond.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've seen the numbers that OnGamers posted about the World Championship, and it was like
so Worlds is Worlds, and it's like it would be like comparing CS:GO to the International. You know, there isn't really an equivalent. We get 4 majors a year, and every major the numbers have gone up. You know, and they just keep going up. You know, I remember we were all psyched the first time we got 200,000 in CS:GO. We're like, holy fucking shit, the game's big. Now we're talking about 500,000, and you know, it ain't no thing. And the only way is up. And tournaments are going to get bigger. The majors are going to have bigger prize funds next year. You know, everything. Trust me, it's a good time to get involved in CS:GO casting.
Yeah, I hope so, because I want the esports community to grow bigger, even if it's not a game I play. I was trying to get into CS:GO, but I don't know what the fuck am I watching on. Like, they shoot that one guy, and what the fuck is going on? I don't know, but it was kind of interesting.
I think I'm gonna maybe, you know, because this seems to be what everyone asks for whenever there's a big tournament. I think I might talk to somebody next time there's an event, and presuming I'm not at the event, and you know I'm not being asked to actually do the main thing. Like maybe we can get a noob stream going. You know, everyone loves noob streams all of a sudden. And yeah, I mean, like I'm probably going to be doing some casting, you know, for CS:GO at some events, perhaps soon, perhaps in December. So you know, I think you know, like I say, it's going to be an interesting time for the game, and you know, we're going to have a lot of casting talent to pick from. Joe and D-Man being amongst them. So you had one more point to make, and I will say, make this quickly. I want to get a quick break in before yeah. So go for it. What do you want to say?
Oh no, that was it. Like,
no, you had another one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure you had another one. You had 3 points. It doesn't matter though. If you don't remember, it's all good. Yeah. So just final question then. I mean, what do you think? Like, what do you think the European LCS broadcast is going to be like next season?
Oh, I have no idea. Like, I'm seriously, I think that less people will watch EU LCS, even more so than they are doing now, because EU LCS, it's not an interesting scene. Like, you have maybe 10 known guys or big personalities, even not that. Like, you have Froggen. And the guys from Fnatic, and who else? Like, no one is a big personality on EU because they don't stream, they don't do interviews, they don't do shit. And in NA, you have every week you have McNoon did this on stream, and Saint Vicious did that on stream. It like challenger guys are more liked by the community in NA than EU LCS players in EU. Yeah. So, I mean, and now you don't have your star casters. So who the fuck is going to watch it now? And I'm from EU and I don't watch it. So, I mean, maybe I want to catch up. So I like read the scores or something, but it's not interesting. Seriously. And EU shit the bed in Worlds. So you'll have even less like players who will follow you. So where is this scene going next? Like, I don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, look, at the end of the day, You know, Riot can't be held responsible for everything that's necessarily wrong with the you know, prospect of what the EU broadcast is going to be like. Certainly, I know Riot wanted to keep Joe and Deman. I don't think the whole Berlin situation could be really worked around for them. It was almost like a deal breaker. And for Deman and Joe, there was absolutely no way they wanted to go there. You know, they've got their lives in Cologne. You know, there was just no way. There was just no way it could work. So that's one of those unfortunate things, and I don't think Riot can be blamed, actually. It wasn't like they didn't offer them enough money to keep them. It was just that they needed them to be in Berlin. They moved the studio to Berlin. And that's that. That isn't going to work. It's like, you know, if you move your place of business, you can't necessarily expect all the employees to go with you. And as well, the fact that the team shit the bed in Worlds, and the fact that a lot of the EU players are as fucking dull as ditch water. You know, you can't do anything about that if you're Riot either. So they must be a little bit frustrated because, you know, EU LCS used to be a good thing to watch, man. I used to enjoy it. So.
Yeah. The only good thing Riot did is signing Shocks back. So I think if she'll wear
I want to make a point about that. Right? Because everyone thinks I'm some bitter, salty asshole towards Riot. So at the same time, I was trying to break the Joe and D-Man story. Obviously, I knew about Shocks going the other way.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
And I didn't.
What Riot did to you.
Well, fuck that, right? It's all out there. It's old news. But I could have broke that story. And the thing was, the reason I didn't was because at the time, I got the information kind of in one block, like it was a big shuffle, and I was like, oh well, Joe and D-Man's the big part of that story. I no disrespect to Shocks, it's great. She's getting to work.
Yeah, she's
with Riot. And that isn't what I'm saying. It's great that she gets to work with Riot. You know, she's worked really hard, and you know, she was a community person like only a few years ago, and you know, she had a meteoric rise to the top, which is great for her. But at the time, I deemed it to be not worth reporting on because of the other news. Mm-hmm. So when the whole story went the way it did, and I didn't get to break it, I thought if I now publish the Shocks thing, it just makes me look like a petty asshole.
Yeah. You
know, and like I didn't want to do that, and especially if my first instinct was it wasn't super newsworthy. You know, it would have been cheap to have reported on that. So yeah. So I mean, again, I'm happy. I think that's a win. I think that's a tick in the Riot box. That, you know, they brought somebody in who does a good job for them, and that's something. But again, you know, D-Man and Joe, it's irreplaceable. Anyway, I'm going to quickly cut to a break, dude. Thanks a lot for calling in again, Itai. Lots of good points there.
Shout out to all my fans in Twitch chat.
Yeah, you do it, and you keep spamming Sam every week, man. It's what he gets fucking paid for.
Yeah, he gets a hard on every time I send him a message.
Good. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Should have seen this guy. Okay, so I managed to get him into the Twitch TV party at DreamHack, and the motherfucker didn't even show up. He just went to his hotel room like a little fucking World of Warcraft playing virgin, and went to bed at like 8 o'clock.
You slept all event. Fuck you.
But not when the party was on.
I was having my own party, mate.
What does that mean? Hot noodle and a wank.
Fuck you.
Anyway, thanks a lot for calling in, brother.
Bye, man.
There we are. So, fucking disgrace, man. Right. Anyway, yeah, so Itai made some good points, I thought there. Sorry, it's just the image of you eating a pot of noodle while I'm having a wank in my head. It's like really fucking throwing me off.
Well, you were doing the same thing and you had your tech guy in your room, so that's fucking worse.
Yeah, but Ollie loves it, dude.
Laying next to you, he's just slowly moving as the bed shakes.
So anyway, you should have come to the party though.
I fell asleep. You fell asleep the entire event. I've had like 4 hours over 3 days, and then I fell asleep. I went back to get ready, and I was like, I'll just take a little nap. I woke up when I was supposed to leave. It's like, nah, fuck it. Nah, it's not worth it. I'd rather just sleep.
He sounds, we both got the same thing. This is the worst thing, man. We both sound so fucking ill. This is like the worst trash talk ever. I can barely get through it. Anyway, yeah, so I made some great points. He's a super cool dude. Big boots to fill, etc., etc. I think we'll take a quick break there, Sam. We'll just have like 3 minutes just to, have a pot noodle and a wank, I guess. We'll be back in a bit. So oh, that pot noodle was lovely, Sam. Oh, Bombay bad boy it was. Oh my god. What is wrong with you, man? You're fucking out of your mind. Anyway, we're back. This is Trash Talk. As it says at the top, do not confuse this show with the Samaritans or you'll be having a bad time. Do you know what's really bad? I realised it was said do not confuse with the Samaritans. We've been talking like seriously about mental health. Like, fuck me, I'm an idiot. Anyway, we've had lots of interesting stuff being talked about today. You know, what's going to happen at EU LCS without them, you know, giants of casting, Joe Miller and Deman. We've talked about, you know, the state of the challenger scene right across the board. We talked about CSGO. We've touched upon BoostGate. So what have we got now, Sam? Something a little bit different? Right. Okay, all right then. It sounds like a good call. Let's do it. Miha, okay.
Hi, Richard.
Hey, hi Miha. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great actually. I don't know. Yeah, nothing really else to say. I'm just here to spice up your show a little bit. I think it's gotten a little too intellectual for my taste.
Well, let's do it. Let's get back to the roots of what Trash Talk was all about.
Yeah,
Reintroduce him because I don't.
Oh, sorry. Apparently
mic is
Sam hit
muted.
mute because he's a fucking incompetent buffoon.
Yeah,
So yeah, this is Miha. And what do you want to talk about? You start in any order. I know you've got lots of points.
Well, yeah, basically, I guess it comes down to I want to complain about general incompetency and lack of insight.
You mean
foresight,
like
I guess.
Sam?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, maybe. Well, basically, I want to start with an example. You know, you probably know the guy. His name is Medals. He's a British caster personality type. He in the StarCraft scene, and I guess what I really have a problem with this guy is that now he's working for a company called Dinget, and this is like a web streaming service, basically a direct competitor to Twitch. And the last time he made a thread on our StarCraft and said, yeah, give us feedback, please give us feedback and stuff. And so people waited in, and people hated their video plugin. You know, you need to have a video plugin to actually, you know, watch videos.
Use the service, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely retarded, you know. And basically, people waited in, and then, you know, Medals came in and started talking. Yeah, well, the service is great. You know, they have higher video quality than Twitch and stuff like that, and which is completely bullshit. You know, they use the same encoder, and probably they smooth out the video and kill out details, and actually the video image is actually worse than Twitch's. So anyway, and people weigh in and say, hey, Medals, don't stick your neck out too far for a company that might fuck your reputation over. So, and he does exactly that. He starts doing tech support to people, and and I'm like, dude, don't do this, you know. And then he starts refuting my points about, don't do this, and then I completely lose it and basically I recognize that he doesn't have a fucking clue about the technology they're using, you know. He doesn't know a fucking clue what latency is. He doesn't know what the delay is. He doesn't know what UDP is, you know. He's completely...
I don't know what those things are. I could guess at latency.
Yeah. Well, I know that a lot of, you know, pros and even streamers and personalities don't know a lot of technical bullshit, but, you know, it's not your job to really go out and do tech support and promote your service when you even don't know what the technologies are, you know.
I do bring Sam in for that reason. I'm not sure he knows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Sam is doing a wonderful job. Yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
God bless you.
So basically, yeah. So, and I wouldn't even have a problem with this guy, you know, if he wasn't at the forefront of fuck ups, you know. He's been like.
So, let's get to the fuck ups. Come on, tell me a juicy fuck up.
For example, there's a major fuck up in the StarCraft 2 scene. I at least I recognized it as such. You know, the crowdfunding scene. I think it's a little bit oversaturated. You know, there's been lots of really small tournaments, and people. You know, a lot of content creators came in and said, "We want your money, community," and people started giving money, you know, people like Rifkin, Take, and a slew of others, you know. But that's not really healthy when you want to sustain a scene, and they didn't really think it through. So Meadows was actually one of the guys that did this, and I told him, dude, you're gonna ruin the scene, with all these Kickstarters. And he's like, but I want to do this. I want to do this full time, But and he has a job, And I was like, dude, don't do this, Like you're gonna ruin the scene. And I guess.
So what did he ask for? Because I didn't see this. I didn't see the Kickstarter.
I'm not sure exactly which tournaments they were, but they didn't ask for a lot of money. But these things pile up, and as small as the StarCraft 2 scene is right now, I don't think it can handle, the economic power just isn't there. So yeah, and I guess that's my point. But and then now Hotbit he started this Kickstarter for eSports Express. And that site is actually, I mean, that's quality content, and I guess I'm a little bit disappointed that it's not doing so well. Actually, it's failing miserably.
Yeah, well, he aimed for $8,000, right? And he got to 1,500. Is that?
Yeah, that's really poor in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. I think he recognizes that as well. But I mean, I talked to Hotbit out at DreamHack. He was a little bit upset by the whole thing because. Not like that people didn't give money, but that just StarCraft is his game. He loves the community. He genuinely loves the StarCraft community.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, he actually came into the our StarCraft Reddit thread, and he was actually, I guess, visually frustrated with the whole with how the whole thing winded down. And I mean, it was the first time seeing a guy, a comedian, like a guy that's really passionate about the thing, but he was actually very frustrated about the whole situation. And but what I really I guess I was really disappointed that he started blaming Sons of StarCraft and all these other failure Kickstarter projects that fucked the community over, and said, well, my Dota community is actually like they're gonna fund anything I want, and I'm just like, but this isn't like Dota. This is StarCraft 2. It's a small community, And I was a little bit disappointed that he went down that route, And, I just think that content creators should really be aware of the situation right now. You can't just spam all these, little projects and demand money when the community is just going to dry up, and we're at that situation right now.
Just to rewind a little bit. He's got a point though, hasn't he? I mean, put it this way, okay? Let's say, right, the guy who did the first ever pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
I bet he went out and everybody was like, "This is fucking great. This is great." I fucking, I get to recruit people. I make money. All I got to do is give him money, and I become my own boss, and I work from home. It sounds amazing, and they do it, and everyone's like, yeah, this is. Oh, wait a minute, it's bullshit. Fuck. What an idiot, right? And then maybe the second dude, and then the third dude, and some of the people who were in the original pyramid scheme think, actually, I'll just start my own pyramid scheme with me at the top. And it wasn't until like the millionth pyramid scheme that everyone was like, fuck, pyramid schemes are bullshit. Like, no one will ever get taken in by a pyramid scheme ever again. Like, no one's ever going to be stupid enough. But in the first instances, everybody did. It sounded like a good alternative to, fucking working a real job. So what we had here with the Kickstarters was in esports, the very first few esports Kickstarters, everyone was like, yeah, I do love esports. Yeah, I would love a documentary about esports. What are your credentials exactly? Don't worry. Fuck your credentials. Here's some money. And there was, and people promised a lot of crazy bullshit they couldn't possibly deliver, whether it was through malice or just out and out stupidity. But now, and the thing is, in particular, the StarCraft community got fucked. I mean, the StarCraft community got fucking bent over and fucked by these Kickstarter people because it was the #1 esport like in 2010. It was where all the money was. It was what was helping grow esports and push esports into the mainstream. Now it's League of Legends. It's hard to believe that it was only 4 fucking years ago it was StarCraft. You know,
Yeah.
so that was that. I think Hotbid's got a point. It's not often I never thought I'd say that publicly, but you know, I think Hotbid's got a fucking point. You know, if those people hadn't have been greedy, his Kickstarter probably would have succeeded. Actually,
no, actually, I don't think he has a point for the current context of the game. Actually, I think all those people that got fucked by, you know, like Cats and you know, Sons of StarCraft and all those guys, I think all those guys moved away. I mean, you can't be fucked by the community this hard and stick around, you know. I mean, I guess at least the majority, at least for the Sons of StarCraft Kickstarter, you know, that, you know, those people already moved away, you know. They're not coming back. The people that are supporting the StarCraft scene right now, it's a small community, but they're gonna support StarCraft. They just can't support every fucking thing that's out there right now. So I think that's, I just think it's a huge excuse on part of Hotbit, you know, to take up Sons of StarCraft and say, yeah, well, they fucked up, they fucked everything, you know, they fucked up this project for me. Actually, no, you fucked it up because you started this project because at this time when, you know, like Take was asking for, I don't know how much, I think $100,000 or something like that for his new house, and people already donated to that, and there were several other tournaments just before that, and we all wanted to see those, and everybody donated. And then there's of course Winter, you know, who gets all the money. But anyway,
well, you know, I mean, I'll make an obligatory joke about view bots at this point.
Yeah,
and say I don't know what the average spending of a view bot is, but I mean, again, I'm just kidding. Winter's cool. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I don't know. I just think like his points have been a little bit over exaggerated on his part, and I don't know. I guess I'll leave it at that. I really don't want to slash too much on the guy. I love his site, and I hope he just restarts his funding effort at a later time, because I think at a later time it will work. I just right now I don't think so.
You think after Legacy of the Void,
Yeah, of course I think so, but I don't
spend more money.
I don't even think that Legacy of the Void is really such a factor. I just think the StarCraft 2 scene needs a little bit of time to recover from all the Kickstarter requests. You know, that's my point, I guess.
Well, I'm really thinking about writing that book. You know,
which one?
Well, okay, so I don't know if you heard about this. I made a joke like after that fucking Harold Goldberg or whatever his fucking name is.
Yeah.
In League of Legends came up with that fucking idea that, you know, if you pay his Kickstarter went up to $108,000 to release work he'd already done. I mean, it just blew my fucking mind, and I'm overjoyed to the point of I'm almost as happy as Sam having a pot noodle and a wank at the same time to see his Kickstarter stall at 7,000 or whatever the fuck it was at last.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
It does. Oh, please stop. Joy overload. Like, the League of Legends community hasn't treated me particularly nice today, but I'm absolutely thrilled that they're getting wise to the prospect that, you know, they're getting exploited by fucking money grabbers like this dude. So anyway, I made a joke at the time with my friend Dentist, who does my graphic design, which was, for $108,000, Richard Lewis invites you to suck a massive fucking dick. That was, and we were gonna put it up on Kickstarter, and the joke was, you give me money and then I just tell you to get fucked. And I don't do anything. That's the joke. And I was going to put it in the terms, like, no matter how much money you donate, I will do nothing. For $50, I will do nothing. For $100, I will do fuck all. You know, I just really make it abundantly clear that you're just giving money to me to scam. And it was going to be like a piece of performance art. But then I started thinking, wouldn't it be cool to write a book about the history of Kickstarter scams and fund it through Kickstarter? Basically a book that says this is why Kickstarter's a piece of shit, and it's funded through Kickstarter. So I think I'm gonna do it. You know, like I don't know if it's just the medication talking or whatever, but I keep thinking, like, I wake up every day and I'm like, is today the day I just make the Kickstarter and just see what happens? Like I think that would be really good. And I'd probably write the book. I'm guessing I would. But maybe that's what it is. Because I'm with you, man. I'm sick of this Kickstarter bullshit. You know, that's one thing I will say.
I mean, like, Destiny, and, you know, like, he came out and said, like, well, yeah, if we can do ad block, you know, and then what's left. It's like after Kickstarter, what's left, and I guess I can kind of sympathize with him on that point. But like, what happened to paid, product?
Yeah.
I guess I'm just one of those old school guys that thinks that everything can have a price, and if people are gonna get sold the idea of that, I think that there is room for funding that. You don't need a Kickstarter. It's just like you make a compelling case for your product and sell it. That's really all there is. And if there aren't going to be enough products on the market because nobody is going to buy this shit, eventually somebody will buy something. And I guess that's another issue, but I think StarCraft really fucked up by allowing all these free broadcasts and all of the shit. It's always been a little bit of an elitist community. I guess the correct word is connoisseur community, and it should have been that community, but it just didn't come to fruition. I guess. Yeah. So I guess that's that.
You had one more thing you wanted to say. Go on. What was your third?
Yeah. This is one for all the League fanboys right there. Like, fuck y'all for invading our StarCraft. I guess I don't understand. I guess I do understand that there are so many fuck ups in this world, but I don't know. I mean, like, come on, was that really necessary? I mean, don't start a game war here. But seeing all the drones, come in your in your recent drama article.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess read and download. I was just like, come on, dudes, this is like, okay, have your fun, but
someone told me they got told, why are you even posting in this thread if you don't care about League of Legends? And it was in the fucking StarCraft subreddit. Now
I was like,
I didn't want it to go to the League of Legends sub.
Yeah, I guess this was the first time I couldn't believe that there were actually two circle jerks in StarCraft. I was completely convinced that this was League fanboys. It was just no other possible way that there was so many downvotes on your post. I think you're a very appreciated member of the community, and really, I don't want to sound like a suck up here, but really, I think you are. And the League community just needs a little bit of growing up to do, and hopefully that happens soon. But I don't think so. There are just too many young children in that community, and just not gonna happen, I guess. But what can you do,
look, here's what I'll say for sure. It's like the thing is the StarCraft community, as you rightly said, is small. It's concise now. It was always a game that was like the average player was a little bit older, a little bit more, cerebrally orientated.
Yeah, I guess I don't really think that our community is that much better. I mean, like, the only difference is that
it's the best. It's hands down, since the Reddit era, it's the best esports community I've worked for. Hands down.
I don't know. I'm not gonna agree with you on that, because I think it has its own problems, and I think that it's not enough to call it the best community. I think it needs to work out those problems to really be a good community. But I appreciate it nonetheless. But I guess the League community is just, I guess it just has more crazies than the StarCraft.
Yeah, but this is what I was gonna say. I mean, look, right, I've got a list of about 20, and it's growing actually. 20 people from the League community that are fucking crazily obsessed with me, and the lengths they go to is it is terrifying. Well, it will be terrifying if they were fucking, if they weren't 15-year-old boys, but I mean, I guess if the 20 of them got together with weapons, it could be moderately terrifying, like, if they wanted to reenact Lord of the Flies or whatever. But the thing with the League of Legends community is it depends what time of day you get there, because there are alpha orientated personalities in there, like, who play the game, and if they get into your thread that's about you first, they completely dictate the way the conversation goes. So if the alphas get there and they hate you, all the betas come in and they just agree, and whatever's deemed to be like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's certain no-nos. Like, the worst thing you can do is point out someone's stupidity, which I do it all the time in the League of Legends threads. I'm just like, look, someone will say something like, actually, I think you'll find that in the dictionary definition of journalism, you know, and they'll just say something that's completely not true. Like, you need to stuff a chicken up your arsehole to be a journalist. And you'd be like, right, okay, so what I'm probably supposed to do at the point someone is saying you need to stuff a chicken up your arsehole to be a journalist is I should probably just say, this guy's a moron, and not reply to him. But I can't do it, you see. I can't. I don't want people, because then what will happen is if you leave it, you get another 10 comments going, yeah, and I bet Richard Lewis has never stuffed a chicken up his arsehole, so he's not a journalist. And, you know, I haven't. I honestly haven't done that. And then I have to jump in and I have to reply, and I say, look, you don't need to do that. You don't need to stuff a chicken anywhere in any orifice to be a journalist, and what you're saying is wrong and stupid. And then the circle jerk changes to, my God, isn't Richard Lewis rude to his potential audience, and we've got the potential to control his career and we can get him fired. So then you're like, okay, dude, I'm not being rude because of that. You can call me an asshole, that's fine, but what you're just saying is, it's false, it's just not true, and that's what I'm correcting. And they can't handle it because the perception is that you've got to, and this is what I mean, this is the fundamental problem at the heart of the League of Legends community. You got to tiptoe around everything. The worst thing you can do is hurt somebody else's feelings. Arguments aren't even decided about by who's right and who's wrong. You can be right and still be wrong in League of Legends, whereas I think in every other community, actually what they respect is,
but,
you know, the righteousness.
Yeah, but do you not think that even the StarCraft community went through the same, I don't know, growing pains that, you know, the league is going through right now?
I didn't notice it. I was thrown straight into StarCraft in 2010. I was the first UK journalist to review the game. I was one of the few journalists invited to the UK reveal of StarCraft with the early access pack. Literally, there must have been about 12 journalists at that, and I was one of them because the company I worked for at the time had good relationships with Blizzard, and I went out to my first fucking home story cup, and you know, I'd been to an ESWC, and I didn't even have the guts to kind of interview a StarCraft player because I knew nothing about the game, and I thought it would be cringeworthy and embarrassing. So I think that was at 2010 ESWC, and then when I went to my first home story cup, no problem, you know, like it just fucking, I jumped into the deep end. It was real easy because I got to do an interview like In Control and Destiny, and all me and Destiny were talking about was like 1930s politics or something. It was nothing to do with StarCraft, so that was good. And those interviews blew up, and then all of a sudden I was fine, but at no point did I get abused by the StarCraft community.
Yeah.
Like, never. There's like a couple of people there that's like, you know, you can name them. There's like people like, you know, Jessica SC2.
Yeah.
You know, whenever it's true, whenever there's a thread with Richard Lewis in there, this individual will post, what has Richard Lewis ever done for the StarCraft community? Can someone please explain it to me? And someone will explain, you know, they'll get a post and it'll be like, well, actually, what Richard Lewis has done is he's revealed all these like people who've done scams and stuff, and even though he doesn't know anything about the game, he writes about these people and he's tried to raise awareness and pushes in this direction, and it's actually really good. And then next thread will come up, what's he ever done for? And it's like, right, okay, so, and then someone will reply, well, actually now he's hosted some events and he's done some kick-ass interviews. No problem, it gets downvoted. Next thread, same thing, and it's like you just think, you know, does your carer know you have access to the fucking internet? Like, you know, at what point is it going to take? So now I just reply and I'm like, what is fucking wrong with you? And then it's like, why have you got to insult me? Why have I got to insult you, motherfucker? Are you being legit right now? Are you even asking that question?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's incredible, man. It's incredible. These people, but you know, that's as bad as it ever gets in StarCraft. Like even the retards in StarCraft are a cut above, you know, your average subreddit. So yeah, I've never understood people criticizing the StarCraft 2 subreddit. I think it was always one of the best moderated. It was always the one that had the best content. I think it's one of the few ones that actually sort of genuinely cares about pushing good content to the top of its subreddit instead of stupid memes and other bullshit. So I've never had a problem with the StarCraft 2 community, and maybe I've been lucky, but I think it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah, I guess it is, but yeah, whenever I go on the league sub, you know, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go somewhere else and do other shit, you know. It's just not worth reading through all the bullshit, I guess. But I guess that's all the extent to which I'm gonna, I don't know. I mean, I do wanna criticize our StarCraft, but hey, I'm just gonna take your word for it. I've only been here since 2011, you know, but yeah. I guess I'm just going to end it here because I don't have anything more to say on the issue.
That's good. That's good. And you managed to help your work in the phrase stuff a chicken up your arsehole. So, no problem. But look, so we'll wrap it up there. I thank you for calling in.
Thanks
you know,
for the invitation. Yeah.
Hey, anytime. It's there every week, brother. So I appreciate it. Have a lovely evening. So there you go. And we're gonna have to make him the last caller, guys. Because I've got to jump out, Sam. I've got to go and do another show.
Oh, I was gonna say this. Ollie the Buff wants to come on.
Dude, there's so many people that I would love to talk to, but I can't do it. I'm late for the loadout. I got to go do another show.
It's alright, as long as Twitch chat knows it's your fault, not mine. It's all good. Incarnation saying that I fell asleep. It's Rich's fault.
Right, well, you know, look, it's totally, you know, what can I do? I'm a man in demand. I got to do these other shows. I've got limited energy, limited hair, you know, and I got to bounce. I got to go do this thing. So the show's called The Loadout. It's on the Daily Dot channel. I'll tweet it in a moment. So anyone who wants to follow from that to this, you can. And I mean, that's very encouraging. Someone says, "Is that the awful Daily Dot show?" It's only 2 episodes in. Just give it a fucking chance. Give it a chance. At least you know I've been drinking. I'll try and make it. Entertaining tonight. I just want to say a shout out to all the people who watched, especially Big Fat Fatty, who Big Fat Fatty spams nothing but compliments about me, Sam. I keep thinking in the back of my mind, because he's called Big Fat Fatty, it's actually a secret insult. That he knows that I'll read it, and actually what he's doing is he's calling me a big fat fatty.
He's just trying to get your hopes
up. It's not true, Sam.
And then on first blood, he's going to crush you.
Big fat fatty. It's not true. So look, guys, seriously, everyone who tuned in tonight, like, sorry if it wasn't as dramatic as what you all were hoping. I'm sure we all wanted to get into the IEM San Jose thing. You know, I'm not keen to drag that out. It's been a very interesting day for me. I think maybe next week I'll show you some of the messages that I've had and some of the mails that I've had. But also, I'm really run down. I would have loved to have done another 3 hours of this, but it'll have to wait. Sam, great work as always. You sound as ill as me.
Yeah,
for a change, which is quite tragic because you're only about fucking 12, aren't you?
As if 36, and it's got dwarfism, you cheeky.
And there we go. So with AIDS and dwarfism, Richard Lewis hates. He hates everybody. He's a hater. Why? Did you see that thread, Sam?
Yeah.
No, did you see this? No. Do you know which thread I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one that got deleted.
How long can Richard Lewis last? That one.
Oh no, I thought the one complaining to the mods. I thought you were talking about.
No. There was that one complaining to the mods, and then after that there was how long can Richard Lewis last in this business? The 10 years I did was a warm up.
Yeah, is that the comment? And then he said, "Yeah, but for 3 of them you couldn't make it your living."
No, that was just another retard.
Alright.
This guy. There was a thread. There was an actual fucking thread. And it was how long can Richard Lewis last in this bit? Because at first the title of the thread was something like how long can Richard Lewis last, and I thought my girlfriend had taken it to basically humiliate me for some reason. You know, I haven't seen a lot of her lately, so she probably has dumped me and hasn't told me. But which is great because I'll be able to stream more. So and eat more pot noodles, obviously.
That though.
But no, the fucking. This is what how long can he last? Well, I don't know, dude. I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years. I guess I'm a flash in the pan. You know what I mean?
Fucking tabloid journalists coming in flashing the pan.
These fucking people. Hey, fuck them. Anyway, so that was Trash Talk. Sam, you did a great job, man. I'm glad. You should have come to the party, though. You're an asshole, but you did a good job tonight.
I don't have dwarfism and I'm not 36.
We're gonna run across to the loadout now. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks for all the callers for calling in. That's the important shit. We'll be back next week a little bit later, 1 hour. So 10 o'clock my time, 11 o'clock CET. First Blood tomorrow. I haven't had time to organise a guest, so God knows how that's going to go. I'm thinking about cloning Broken Shard. We'll just see if I can do that in 24 hours. But until then, I will see you later, in case you're watching the loadout, in which I'll see you in like 5 seconds. Right, peace.